Such a
5 more
bum.
to go.
5 more.
Yes, sir.
Just don't use the silent sparrow for hip fire. Use the thingy. What? That didn't hit. Just got behind you with the dragons. Crap.
3 kills to go. Okay,
Three.
just got killed by an RPG.
Like,
Okay,
of
2
course.
kills to go.
What kills are you trying to get?
No attachment kills.
it's easy.
Just two.
especially with
Oh,
something like
What are you on, the M17?
MP5.
that. This is a big moment, James.
Yeah.
1 kill. This is it. It should come up now. Come on, get up. Get it, snake. Gold. I'm not screen sharing. I forgot to screen share. Platinum. Okay, there's gonna be like 6 platinums, guys. Platinum
Yeah.
1, platinum 2. Too late. Platinum
You must not
3,
die. You must not die.
platinum 4. Protect me.
I'm coming.
Platinum 5.
Body block.
Platinum 6, guys. The W. Go on. Damascus! Yeah! We got it, boys! We got it! Oh my god! We got it! This is gonna pop up for like 2 minutes.
Don't worry, now put it on all your guns.
No, I'm gonna wait now. Just let it pan out. Just keep coming up. Oh, it looks so beautiful. Oh, 4 months. We've done it.
Congratulations, Noah.
Thank you,
Yeah, I
guys.
congratulate you.
Thank you for sticking
The
with me
hard work.
every
The hard
step of the
work.
way.
How do you record that for the YouTube?
Yeah, I've got this recorded, and I've tested my mic as well. Triple check that it's working. If my mic doesn't work now, okay, you can pull this out if you want. Oh my god, he's
Here's
actually got it.
We'll finish it
Here's
now. This is a blessed game.
Hello everyone. So as you can tell by that not at all over dramatic intro, I've done it. After 4.5 months, 138 days, and 117 Instagram stories, I've finally unlocked Damascus in Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Now as you've seen, this video is going to be huge, and it's going to be even the Modern Warfare review for being the longest video on my channel, so it's not going to be for everyone. But I've got a lot of things to say about getting Damascus, and I can guarantee for those of you who are thinking about going for Damascus, are currently going for Damascus, or have already gotten Damascus, you are 100% going to enjoy this video. So in this video, I'm going to share some of my thoughts on the Damascus grind, and look back at my original video announcing that I was going for Damascus back in April, and see how the points I made in that video apply today, now that I've gotten Damascus. So first things first, I want to look back on the video I made back in April announcing that I was going for Damascus and talk about the points and predictions I made and see if they ended up being right or wrong, or just reflect on them. So the first part of the video I wanted to look back on is why. Why did I want to go for Damascus in the first place? The first and probably the biggest reason I wanted to go for Damascus is just the grind aspect of it. In my Modern Warfare review, I really emphasised how much I loved just grinding for stuff in Modern Warfare. It could be leveling up a weapon, trying to unlock a weapon, or doing the camo challenges to get gold for a weapon, but regardless of what it was, it always really excited me, and it was by far my favourite thing about Modern Warfare. And while obviously, after getting gold for so many weapons, the novelty of that feeling wears off, the feeling of being on a huge grind gave me a sense of purpose while playing Modern Warfare, because every game I played, every camo challenge I completed, every weapon I golded, meant that I was that much closer to getting Damascus. And that feeling of constantly working towards this one goal really kept me going even when I had to use some horrible weapons. Another major reason I wanted to go for Damascus is because since you have to get gold for every single gun that came out in Modern Warfare, it forces you to spend about 3 to 4 hours on average with all those weapons, and this would force me to use some weapons that I previously wouldn't have touched, and my hopes with that I will have actually gone on to really enjoy some of these guns. And why this was such an excitement of mine was because at the time when I started going for Damascus, I'd used very little of the guns that are in the game. After 3 months of playing Modern Warfare, I'd golded only 3 guns, and I was mainly using the same guns over and over again, and even though I tried a handful of guns that I hadn't used before, and the reason I didn't use a lot of said guns is because I wanted to save them for when I was going for Damascus, so you can only imagine how nice it was to use so many different guns that I'd been holding myself back from using for so long. After getting Damascus, I can say that I was absolutely right with this point, and I've discovered so many guns that I previously wouldn't have thought twice about, like the Mark II carbine, the 725, the AK-47, and now those guns are some of my favourite guns in the game to use. And going for Damascus has also reinvigorated my love for some of the guns I previously had leveled up but sort of forgot about. Particularly with the SMGs, which I used a lot when I first got Modern Warfare, but since the SMGs were the last class I had to do, it had been a decent while since I used most of them. I fell back in love with both the Uzi and the P90, which had both previously fallen out of my loadouts, but now they're the 2 most common SMGs I use in my multiplayer and Warzone loadouts. The variety of weapons I had to use also really helped keeping things fresh while grinding, because each weapon has a different feel to it, and I remember always being excited when I'd be moving on to another weapon. And also, it's really helped expand my arsenal of weapons that I use, and it's a very nice feeling now knowing that I've leveled up so many guns in the game. Like say if I was looking for a weapon to use in a Warzone match, previously I was confined to using the same 2 or 3 weapons from each weapon class because they were the only ones I had leveled up. But now I have way more guns that I can use with every single attachment, and I can just say, you know what, I'm going to use this SCAR for this game. And I'll be able to use the SCAR with every one of its attachments and have the ability to build it however I want. But before I wouldn't have had it leveled up, and I wouldn't have been asked to go to the bother of unlocking every single attachment for it just so I could troll and use it for one game. So you can tell that I feel much more free with the weapons I can use, and it definitely makes both Modern Warfare and Warzone much more enjoyable. Another more straightforward reason I wanted to go for Damascus is simply because the Damascus camo itself looks incredible. I don't know why a lot of people don't like the way it looks, but I'm personally a big fan of the vibrant colours and the wavy pattern it's got, and I don't think a mastery camo has to be animated in order to look amazing. Like personally, I think Damascus looks head and shoulders better than Dark Matter and Dark Ether from Cold War, which are both animated. But in the right lighting on certain weapons, Damascus is stunning, and sometimes I get distracted from the game because I'm just staring at my gun. And the last reason I wanted to go for Damascus was for the completionist aspect of it. It's just the type of player I am. When I find a game that I really enjoy, I always want to do the long grind that 99% of the players won't do. I did it last year when I 100%ed Red Dead Redemption 2, and this year I wanted to go for Damascus. It's just a satisfying feeling knowing that the vast majority of players wouldn't do what I did. And while there definitely is an element of appealing to your ego there, for the most part it's about being proud of yourself for getting such a big achievement. And I can definitely say that I'm very proud of myself for unlocking Damascus. There's also a certain level of universal respect that the COD community has for those such as myself who are insane enough to go for Damascus, because everyone knows how much of a ridiculous grind it is. Whenever I die to someone who's got Damascus, or I see someone on my team that has Damascus, I always have respect for them. And while this isn't a huge reason I went for Damascus, because it would have been a bit pathetic if I went for Damascus just so I'd have the respect of other people I don't even know, I will admit it's a nice feeling to be a part of that vast minority of people. The next part of the video I want to talk about is the concerns I had about going for Damascus, because I actually did have a couple of worries about going for Damascus. The first of which was that I could very easily burn out Modern Warfare if I did it wrong. At the time I started going for Damascus, I was still relatively new to Modern Warfare. I'd only played it for about 3 months, and it was pretty much the only game I played for the first 3 months of this year. So I really didn't want to ruin it for myself by burning it out because I played it way too much. I'd seen people like FaZe Jev lose their mind by going for Damascus as fast as possible, and by the end of Damascus grind he just seemed like a defeated man, so I knew I definitely didn't want to do it like that, because the last thing I wanted was for the Damascus grind to feel like a chore that I had to do every day. At the time when I was about to go for Damascus, I had just finished getting Obsidian for the M13 and it was an absolutely horrible experience. I tried to go for it as fast as possible, and every morning I'd wake up and play like 3 hours of shipment, and although it took me less than a week, I knew it definitely wasn't a sustainable way of going for a camo, especially a much larger scale camo like Damascus, because I'd wake up every morning feeling like I had to play COD to try get Obsidian, as if it was some kind of chore. And I felt like I was too far in to stop, and I can genuinely say that I didn't enjoy a single second of that grind. I knew I definitely didn't want to do Damascus like that, because ultimately this is a video game and I should be enjoying it more than I'm not. Another concern that I had about going for Damascus is that going for Damascus will mean that I'd have the majority of the guns in the game maxed out, and I'd have very little left to do in Modern Warfare. This might sound weird to a lot of you, but one of my favourite things about Modern Warfare when I first got it was that I felt like there were so many weapons that no matter how many I played with and leveled up, there'd always be one more for me to grind out. It meant that there was always something more to do, but after maxing out and getting gold for every gun that came out in Modern Warfare, a huge chunk of those guns will have been completed, leaving me with very little left to do and the game feeling a bit empty. I sort of laugh at this one when I look back at it now, but I remember this being quite a big worry I had about going for Damascus, because when I first started thinking about going for Damascus in around February, I was still very new to the game, and leveling up weapons was probably my favourite thing about Modern Warfare. I really loved that feeling of having so many guns that I haven't used, because it felt like I always had so much more to do. But looking back, it was naive and a bit of an immature attitude of never wanting the novelty of the weapons to end, because I was going to level up the weapons eventually. And as I previously mentioned, far more good things than bad things have come out of leveling up a lot of the weapons. Also, there's plenty of DLC weapons that I haven't got leveled up, and since I started going for Damascus, 3 DLC weapons have been added, 2 of which I literally haven't touched. And also, this thought assumes that Modern Warfare is the only game I'll ever be playing, because I didn't take into consideration that by the time I've gotten Damascus, the next COD will be around the corner. I probably didn't think it was going to take over 4 months, but here I am now scripting this video with the Vanguard beta out. So although I wouldn't exactly say this is one of the weak points I made in the original video, because I still understand why I was concerned about it, I will say that out of all the points I made in that video, this one has probably aged the worst, because I can tell you by the time I'd unlocked Damascus, I think I'd had enough of leveling up weapons. The next part of the original video that I want to talk about is how I planned about doing the Damascus grind. Now, although I keep referring to it as the Damascus grind, by that I just mean the Damascus Journey, because I actually didn't intend to grind for Damascus, as in to fully focus on it above everything else in my life, play Modern Warfare for hours all day, every day, and not play any other games but Modern Warfare. As I mentioned previously, I knew if I did that, although I would definitely get Damascus quicker, I would burn Modern Warfare out for myself, potentially hurt my mental health, and overall just not enjoy the Damascus Journey as much. I planned on just playing COD as much as I normally did, but instead of just playing it casually, I'd be going for Damascus instead. There'd be days when I'd play Modern Warfare for hours, but there'd also be days when I wouldn't even touch COD. I knew that doing it this way would make getting Damascus take months, but I'd rather make a lot of little but consistent progress than large but inconsistent progress. I wanted to take the Damascus grind easy like this because I didn't want to ruin Modern Warfare for myself by stressing out over it. And because Modern Warfare was already a year and a half old at that stage, I saw no need in rushing to get Damascus. And if I'm being dead honest here, although I said these things and I wanted to stick by them, I was expecting to do the opposite and just completely grind out for Damascus for a week or two, and then inevitably get burned out and stop playing. However, I actually surprised myself by sticking pretty well to these guidelines I set out for myself. I did play COD a lot on the majority of days, but it never felt like I was forcing myself to play. And although every time I'd play Modern Warfare, I would focus on going for Damascus, I'd also play Warzone with my friends the majority of nights, and sometimes I'd play completely separate games like Red Dead Redemption 2. And I also took many breaks from going for Damascus. But on the flip side, some weeks I played COD a lot more than usual. For the first 2 weeks of the summer holidays, I completely focused on getting platinum for ARs and played COD for a lot of the day. And for the final class I had to do for Damascus, the SMGs, I remember one day where I literally played COD all day, and I got 3 guns gold in one day. But because of this balance, I neither felt burnt out on the days where I'd only be going for Damascus, nor did I feel like I was missing out on the progress on the weeks that I'd taken breaks from Damascus. And I think it was because of this relatively healthy balance of playing the game and not playing the game that I managed to constantly be excited while going for Damascus. I never felt burnt out of Modern Warfare and never put any pressure on myself to grind Damascus on days I didn't feel like. And if there's one thing I'm proud of in this whole Damascus journey, it's the balance I maintained throughout it. The weapon order I originally thought I was going to do for Damascus was firstly, I was going to do all the secondaries, so the launchers, then the melees, then the handguns, then I'd move on to the primaries, starting with the sniper and marksman rifles, then the LMGs, the shotguns, and I'd finish on either the SMGs or ARs, because I said I found those to be the easiest guns in the game to level up. Although I don't know why I said this, because ARs in particular are by far the class that takes the longest to finish. I'd say I sorta stuck with this order. I did all of the secondaries first as I planned to, which I'm really glad I did, but then the ARs were actually the first primaries I started on, besides the riot shield of course, and then I moved on to the sniper and marksman rifles, then the LMGs, the shotguns, and I finished off with the SMGs as planned. I wasn't expecting to fully stick with the original weapon order because I knew that with the release of certain playlists I may have to change it up a little, but what I really wanted to stick to was getting all the really frustrating, shitty weapons like the launchers and the riot shields out of the way first, and having my last class I have to do being a really fun one. The order of the weapons that came between that really didn't matter. I also showed how far I was to completing Damascus already with the help of this really cool website, and I was 14.87% of the way to Damascus from just purely playing casually. I was and still am a bit surprised that I was nearly 1/5 the way to Damascus already without even trying and just using the weapons I liked. And speaking of weapons I liked, I also mentioned in my video that I only had 3 guns golded at the time, the Kar98, the M13 and the R90, and I'd held myself back from using a lot of weapons because I wanted to save them for when I was starting going for Damascus. And I'm actually very happy that I did this because it made my Damascus grind way more thrilling, because for the majority of the time when I'd move on to a new weapon, it would be one that I've nearly not used at all. I'd have them leveled up a bit from using them as ground loot weapons in Modern Warfare Warzone, but even though it technically wasn't my first time using a lot of these guns, since I hadn't used them in so long, it pretty much felt like it was. So every time I'd move on to a new weapon, I'd actually be excited to use it, because since all the guns are all different in their own way, it meant that I was going to be adapting to a slightly different playstyle for each weapon, and it made the Damascus journey just so much more refreshing. And that's why I can't really think of a time when I was bored while going for Damascus. The final thing I want to reflect on the original video is about the conclusion I had about starting the Damascus journey. Before going for Damascus, I thought that getting Damascus seemed practically impossible and unrealistic to achieve, and to the average player who just wants to play Modern Warfare casually, it definitely is. But you know, I'm just not your average player, so it isn't for me. But I knew that if I did it right, it would for the most part be a pretty fun journey, and I did go about doing Damascus pretty well, and in turn, I do think for the most part it was a fun journey. But having just gotten the obsidian camo for a weapon before making that video, I knew that Modern Warfare can be so ridiculous at times that it would literally be impossible to get through the Damascus grind without having the urge to put my foot through my monitor. But I tried to minimize the amount of times I'd feel like that by not overplaying Modern Warfare as I mentioned earlier. In the original video, I showed my most played game modes and how many kills I'd gotten with each weapon at the time, and now 6 months later, it's safe to say that they've all taken a pretty big jump. Hardpoint is still my most played game mode, but Team Deathmatch has by far seen the most dramatic increase. I've gone from 2,500 kills all the way to 6,000. And as for weapons, here's the comparison of the amount of kills I had with each weapon at the start of the Damascus grind compared to now. Looking back on the old video, even though I know I was purposely not using a lot of weapons, it still blows my mind how little I'd use some weapons. Like not even having 10 kills with the aim axe, only having 1 kill with the knife, and only 2 with the riot shield. When you put them side by side, you can see a decent increase in every weapon that I had to do, but there hasn't really been any one weapon that completely shot up in kills, apart from the MP5, but that's only because I've recently been going for Obsidian on it. As for time played stats, when I started going for Damascus, I had 3 days and 19 hours, which was 91 hours in total, and on the day that I completed Damascus, I had 7 days and 22 hours played, which is 190 hours in total. So according to the time played stats, it has taken me pretty much exactly 100 hours to get Damascus, and although that's a really satisfying number to show, I can say right now that it took way longer than that. I'm nearly certain that the time played stats only measure your time spent in actual games, not your time spent on the application of Modern Warfare or time spent while queuing, so I'd say all things considered, it probably took around 150 hours. And here's a side by side of my other base stats. My total games played has doubled, and as you can see, my KD, win-loss ratio and score per minute have all taken a bit of a hit, but my highest kill streak has actually gone up from 18 to 20. And then obviously my total number of wins and losses has gone up by a decent amount. My most used gun is still of course my baby M13, and for some weird reason I said in my original video that I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of Damascus I had a completely new most used gun. And looking back on that now, I don't know what I was smoking when I said that, because the amount of kills you have to get with the weapon, especially an AR to get Obsidian, is way higher than the amount of kills you need to get gold. Also, I grinded out for the blue dot with my M13 in early January, so even though it's been over 6 months since I've gotten Obsidian for it, no weapon that I've gotten gold for has even come near it. But even the other gun that I've Obsidianed, the Kar 98, doesn't even have half the kills I have with my M13, so I don't know what I was thinking when I said that in the video. I know I've spent a lot of time just reflecting and talking about the video of me announcing I was going for Damascus, but that was one of the main reasons I made that video, to establish the start of the Damascus grind, as well as to look back on it when I eventually got Damascus and see how my thoughts aged. And I'm actually really happy that I made that video before I started going for Damascus instead of just starting Damascus privately, because I don't know about you, but if you can't already tell by how long I've rambled about it, I find it pretty interesting to see how correct I was in a lot of areas, how wrong I was in some areas, and just seeing the official start of the Damascus grind after finally unlocking it. But now, I'm no longer going to be talking about the original video, and I'm just going to give you my raw, straight up thoughts about Damascus, because God knows I have a lot to say about this whole crazy grind. So that's everything in regards to looking back on the original video. Now I want to just give some of my raw thoughts on the Damascus journey as a whole. Obviously, because it's been nearly 2 months since I've unlocked Damascus, it's worn off a bit, but I remember that when I got Damascus, it really hadn't sunk in that the grind was finally over. It felt like the next day I'd have to get gold for another gun, because that's what I'd been doing for months, so it really hadn't sunk in that it was all finally over, at last. I'd been going for Damascus for so long that it felt like I'd never actually unlock it. It sounds weird to say, but it felt like because I'd been doing it so long and so consistently, it became pretty much a daily thing I worked towards or at least thought about, so I just couldn't picture it ending. However, throughout the entire journey, I did think a lot about the actual moment where I'd finally unlocked Damascus, and I remember being really worried about everything that could go wrong in that moment. I was worried that my game might crash, my recording software wouldn't pick up my mic, or if when I unlocked the very final camo challenge I had to, and all the gold and platinum unlocked pop-ups would come up on the screen, that the game would end right before the Damascus unlocked pop-up would appear. So I double checked my mic was picking up on the recording, and I made sure that we were loading into a new game and I only had a very small amount of kills left to do so that the game wouldn't end too soon. I wanted that game to be perfect, and I'm very happy to say that it definitely was, and nothing went wrong, thank God. When I look back at old Instagram stories of me at the start of the Damascus grind using the launchers, I remembered being in those exact games as if it were yesterday, but at the same time it also feels like ages ago, like it almost feels like it was last year, and it's really put into perspective and made me realise just how long I've actually been doing this ridiculous grind for. It's a very strange feeling knowing that I'll never post a story about going for Damascus again, because since I was consistently posting these stories in sync with my progress with Damascus at the time, I've been posting on Instagram stories for so long, and the people that follow me on Instagram can tell you that I was borderline spamming them. and it became sort of a routinely thing. And since I've unlocked Damascus, I've gone back to not posting a lot on my Instagram, and a part of me misses it. But while I'm on the topic of Instagram stories, I'm really happy that I kept on posting them, because in future, whenever I want to look back on my Damascus journey, I'll be able to see what I thought about every single gun before and after getting it gold. And I like the whole process of what I did on my Instagram stories after I'd platinum a class, where I'd compare my time played stats at the start of going for that class compared to the end, and then calculate how many hours it took me to platinum that class according to the time played stats. I'd also say exactly how many days in total getting platinum for the class took, name my favourite looking guns of the class with the platinum camo on, show my current progress as a percentage of how close I was to getting Damascus, and give my opinions on the class as a whole. Something about that whole process was just really satisfying to do after getting platinum for a class, and it added to that sense of achievement after getting a class platinum. And it was that sense of achievement with the Instagram stories, as well as other stuff like, as stupid as this sounds, wanting to get a gun gold quickly so I could share a song that I'd recently discovered on the story of me showing off my gold camo on that weapon. It was things like that that really pushed me while going for Damascus, so the Instagram stories played a pretty huge part in my Damascus journey, and I couldn't be happier that I posted them. As strange as this is going to sound, getting Damascus after over 4 months of grinding re-sparked my love for Modern Warfare and made it feel fresher than it had since I originally got the game, because now I'm free to do whatever I want, and as a bonus I now have a sexy camo that I can put on basically every gun in the game. So even though I've been more focused on working on this video than playing Modern Warfare in the past month or so, on the times that I do play it, I still really enjoy it. Also, I want to take this time to just say how grateful I am for Shoot House and Shipment being at my disposal for the entire time of me going for Damascus. It's really lucky as well, because before I started going for Damascus, Shoot the Ship wasn't a permanent thing. You'd get it every couple of weeks in the playlist updates, but the rest of the times you'd be forced to play the other maps. But about the time I started going for Damascus, Shoot the Ship became pretty much permanent, which was literally perfect timing. And besides when I was doing the launchers and one match with the Scar when the Shoot the Ship servers were bugged, literally 100% of the games I played while going for Damascus were in Shoot House and Shipment. As you can probably tell if you've watched any of the class guide videos, because the gameplay of those is all in Shoot the Ship. Since they're the two smallest maps in the game, they made getting kills way easier, and I could do every camo challenge in them comfortably. I get my long shot and mounted kills in Shoot House and do Shipment for everything else. After I got Damascus, I thought I'd try playing in the other maps for a change, and was beginning to think that maybe I should have been a bit more adventurous and diverse with the maps I played during the grind, but the first game I played on St. Petrograd reminded me why I hadn't been playing any other maps. Aside from Shoot House, Shipment, and a handful of others, the maps are terrible in this game, and you get way less kills on them compared to Shoot the Ship. So even after I've exhausted them to death while going for Damascus, there's no way in hell I'm playing any other map other than Shoot House and Shipment when playing this game, because they're just undeniably the best maps in the game for getting the most action. Although skill wise I'd consider myself an average player, after getting gold for every base weapon in the game, I feel like I definitely have a better understanding than most players of each weapon and the game of Modern Warfare as a whole, and it's a good feeling knowing that you know the ins and outs of each weapon in the game, and as I mentioned earlier in this video, it comes in handy while playing Warzone. I also want to say that I'm very proud of myself. I'm so proud that I actually managed to get all the atrocious launches and the riot shield done at the very start, and I never had to worry about using them ever again. It was so nice having those annoying weapons out of the way early, because for the rest of the grind I was using weapons that for the most part were actually viable, and I can't think of a single bullet weapon that I hated using. And as I said earlier, I'm proud of how I went about going for Damascus. I don't want to repeat myself too much, but I just want to re-emphasize that it would have been the easiest thing in the world to completely sweat Modern Warfare at the start of going for Damascus and then get myself burnt out and hate the game. But here I am, half a year later, having unlocked Damascus, and I'm still not burnt out of this game. I had a very good amount of balance of grinding Modern Warfare and not playing Modern Warfare. There were a few days throughout the grind where I'd play Modern Warfare for 5-6 hours, but then there were also days, even weeks, where I wouldn't touch Modern Warfare. Off the top of my head, there was one week where my phone died and I was using my shitty iPhone 5C that doesn't support Instagram, so I couldn't post, 1 week where I had exams, 1 week when I was catching up on YouTube videos instead of playing COD, and 2 weeks when I was off in Greece on my holidays. That's 5 full weeks out of the 20 weeks it took me to get Damascus where I didn't play Modern Warfare at all. That's an entire quarter of the grind, and they're just the full weeks. That isn't even including the days where I wouldn't play COD. And while not grinding COD every day made progress much slower, it was this that made the Damascus grind not feel like a chore at all, and made it feel somewhat fresh throughout. I'm also just proud of the achievement itself of getting Damascus. Not many people can say that they've done that, and I'm not going to lie, it's a great feeling knowing that you're that one person who's gotten Damascus out of everyone you know. It's one of the best things about having Damascus, that prestige of doing something that 99% of the player base wouldn't even think to do. And without stroking my ego too much, it feels good. This is hands down my biggest accomplishment in any video game. Even getting 100% in Red Dead Redemption 2, which was very hard, comes nowhere near this. And I wonder, will I ever have a gaming achievement that tops getting Damascus? With Vanguard around the corner, we shall see. So now that the Damascus Journey is done, what's next for me to do in COD? I haven't been playing the multiplayer a lot in the past month, but when I do play it, it's so refreshing to be back playing COD casually for fun. Doing what I want when I want to do it. Because from April to August, every single game of Modern Warfare I played was towards Damascus. And it's such a huge weight off my shoulders now, and I feel free to do whatever I want. One thing I've been wanting to do for ages is to try get a nuke, which I still haven't done yet, and it's something I'm really looking forward to start going for, as well as going for the other higher tier kill streaks like the Juggernaut and the Support Helo that to this day I still haven't used. I'm going to get golds on DLC weapons I enjoy using like the Growl, the Ram, the AS-Val and the Bruin because I've been using these guns for so long now in Warzone and I haven't got gold for them because they wouldn't contribute anything towards Damascus. And the great thing now I've unlocked Damascus is that whenever I gold a gun, I get Platinum and Damascus for it as well, which is so nice and I can't wait to see how some of these guns I mentioned look with the different mastery camos. I'm also going to start using some weapons that I've barely used that I've always been meaning to level up like the SPR and the Fennec and the new CX-9 SMG and Ryle LMG, both of which I literally haven't touched since they came out. You'd think that since I've just unlocked Damascus I'd be sick of getting gold for weapons, but I've taken a bit of a break from Modern Warfare multiplayer since I've been working on this video and I'm actually really hyped to get back in there and start grinding again. Another thing I'm slightly considering doing is getting Obsidian on a few more weapons like the Uzi, the PKM or the P90. I've currently only got Obsidian on my M13 and the Kar 98, so just after I got Damascus I started passively going for Obsidian on the MP5 and I must admit it's not very fun. So I doubt I actually will go for Obsidian on any of the guns after I finish my MP5, but maybe if I'm really bored I will. Speaking of things I might do if I'm really bored, I may even do a few challenges to unlock blueprints for certain weapons, because since I didn't get the battle pass when Modern Warfare was the main COD, I have a severe lack of blueprints for my guns, and even if the blueprints I unlock from the challenges aren't really nice looking, it'll still be nice to have them. One thing I also want to do is replay the Modern Warfare campaign because I haven't touched the campaign since I first played it in January, and the great thing about the campaign is that it's not really long and you don't really have to fully focus like you do in normal multiplayer games, so it'll be a nice chill thing to do. On the Warzone side of things, over the summer I played Rebirth a lot with my friends and I was starting to get pretty decent at it, but since I've been back to school and we've been playing less, I've become really rusty at it, so I want to get back into Rebirth and try to get really good at it, because in my opinion, it's the only mode worth playing in Warzone. And finally, in terms of what I'm going to do now Call of Duty wise, as most of you watching this video definitely know by now, Call of Duty Vanguard is coming out in less than a month's time, and the reveal event actually happened the day I got Damascus, and I've been following it very closely, and from what I've seen, in my opinion it looks very good, and I don't think I'll get it right at launch because €60 is a lot of money for a game. But I'll wait 3 weeks and by then there'll have been a lot of feedback from the community and they'll have hopefully patched any issues that came at launch. And by then it'll be Black Friday and I'll hopefully be able to get it on sale. But even if it isn't on sale on Black Friday, I'll just get it then because I'm not going to wait until Christmas to get COD this year. As much as I've enjoyed Modern Warfare this year, it's been really annoying that I got it a year after it came out and everyone had already moved on to Cold War. And the Cold War weapons, which I really don't like, were way better in Warzone than the Modern Warfare weapons, which I preferred. But I'd never want to level up the Cold War weapons because they took so long to level up without having Cold War, which I refuse to buy. I know that when Vanguard gets integrated into Warzone, there'll be a huge amount of nerfs to the Cold War weapons, and the Vanguard weapons are going to be the best to use, and this time around I'll actually be able to level them all up. But that's only one reason why I want to get Vanguard so soon. Vanguard also shares the same engine as Modern Warfare, which I love so much, and the Mastery Camel grind looks amazing for Vanguard. From what I've heard from people like Exclusive Ace who played the beta a lot, Vanguard seems to have kept all the good elements from Modern Warfare, like the gunplay and the engine, while shaving off the annoying elements, like loud footsteps, horrible maps that preferred campers, Ghost being overpowered, and the dreadful radar. There's so much more I could say about Vanguard, and I probably will make another video in the run up to it releasing, but I'm so excited for it to come out. And aside from COD, there's other games I want to play. COD's great, and even after I've unlocked Damascus, I definitely still enjoy it, but I want to start branching out a bit more and diversifying the games I play. Because since the start of the year, COD has basically been the only game I've played. And as fun as COD is at times, you can't make it be the only game you play because you're missing out on so many other amazing games. First things first, I definitely want to finish my playthrough of Red Dead Redemption 2 within the next month. I should be locked up for how little I've played this game this year. With being obsessed with COD and the Damascus grind, I found little time to sit down for a couple of hours and play some good old Red Dead. And on the topic of Red Dead, I want to start playing single player games more. The ones I have already, like Just Cause 3, Hitman 2 and Resident Evil 2 that I got last year, I haven't played in nearly a year. And I also got 4 new single player games in the Steam summer sale, Alan Wake, Batman Arkham Knight, LA Noire and Max Payne 3 that I haven't even installed yet since I've been so caught up with Damascus, and I definitely want to start on those games as well, and I'm really excited to start playing them. So yeah, it's finally all over. After all those Instagram stories, all the Platinum Guide videos, and after all those games, I've finally unlocked Damascus. It is mine at last. This has been such a long journey, and thinking back to the start of Damascus feels so long ago, but I'm very glad I went for Damascus. But at the same time, I'm not going to pretend that I'm not happy it's all over. Now I feel so free to do whatever I want video game wise, and I really can't describe to you how wonderful that feels. Expect a lot more videos about the Damascus grind and COD to be coming out, especially in the run up to Vanguard releasing. And speaking of videos, I want to take this chance to say that I'm really sorry that this video took so long to come out. At this stage, it's been nearly 2 months since I've unlocked Damascus, and a lot of you have probably forgotten that I even got it. But as happy as I am that I got Damascus, I probably unlocked it at the worst time possible. Because I got it, I made the final Platinum Class Guide video for the SMGs, and then I was back to school. And while I am in 4th year this year, and for those of you who aren't from Ireland, 4th year is a complete dust compared to the other years. So I have much more free time than I'd usually have with school. It's still a huge chunk of 5 of my days gone. And I have training 3 times a week, so on those days it's another 2 hours of my days gone. So it's been hard to adjust from over the summer, having every single day to myself and being able to work on my channel consistently, to only having a few hours every day to work on my channel. This script has taken me a month to make, and that's just because it's so difficult to come back from a day at school and to be able to focus and type a script. Also, with this video in particular, I just have so many thoughts about Damascus, and it's been tricky to organize them into different sections so it's not just a complete mess, which I'm sure this video may have still felt like to some of you. So I'm genuinely really sorry that this video has taken so long to come out, but I can guarantee you it's just this video that's going to take ages to come out. The next videos I make aren't going to be nearly as long as this, so they'll be coming out much more consistently. And I have a video that's definitely coming out next week. It's just this one video in particular that's been really hard to script. But that aside, on a more positive note, it's been a month now, but on the 12th of September, we actually managed to hit 500 subscribers, and that is such a huge milestone to me, and I just wanted to say that this means a lot to me. The fact that we're halfway to 1000 subscribers, or over halfway as I'm making this video, is mad, and it's so rewarding to see all the support and the comments I've been getting. I don't want to waste any more of your time, but my next video is going to be a very special video to celebrate hitting 500 subs, and I'll talk about it more then. So thank you so much for watching this video. I probably repeated myself a few times, but this video has taken me way too long to make, so if you've actually watched through the entirety of this video after waiting so long for it to come out, you actually don't know how much that means to me, and I'm really grateful to you. And if anyone who's watching this video has unlocked Damascus, what was your experience like with it? Did you enjoy the grind, or did you hate every second of it? I'd be genuinely interested to see how other people got on with it in the comments below. Expect much more videos to be coming out soon. Like if you liked, dislike if you didn't, and take care of yourselves.